5:45 a.m. Thursday, June 25th, 2026. Beloved, I am Starseed Commander. Take this message. We have gathered you here today to remind you of all that has been, of all that is, and all that is to be. Stand by for clearance. Recognition complete. Acceleration granted. Tapping into the elliptical orbit of Nibiru, orbiting Sirius C millions of years ago. Renegade reptilian beings who have broken off from the Draco Empire, installing around Sirius C's star system. They have declared their independence from the Draco Empire. They are unifying with the high-ranking families of Sirius A and Sirius B. They are the predecessors of the Anunnaki, many of whom came from Nibiru, but also other star systems and planets that had a hand in the environmental and evolutionary stages of Earth, gathering intel on the Draco reptilians of Sirius C and Nibiru. These beings reached a point in their evolutionary cycle where they were in alignment with the law of one. This is an offshoot of the Draco lineage that is more service to self. There has been much deception in the Draco Empire. There have been battles between the kings and queens of Draco, the winged Draco beings and the serpent queens. The Draco warrior women brigade who staged a coup and overthrew many of the royal kings of Draco. They lived for many thousands of years. Not all were in agreement with the conquest of Lyra, Vega, Orion, Mars, Moldak, Earth. The battle for Earth is ancient. Over 230 million years ago, there were beings who came to Earth to terraform and study the processes of evolution. There were beings here who are native to the planet. Dinoid beings. Beings who were already living in Earth, in the mountains, in the caverns, in the caves, inner Earth beings, sensitive to sunlight. These were rather intelligent species. The Procyons arrived. They settled in Antarctica. They had highly advanced weapons. They came to Earth to mine for copper. They were rather successful for millions of years. There were other beings, transported life forms here. It was to be a sanctuary, like a backup drive for the universe. There was a war. Between the Draco and the Procyon. Procyon is coming through. Procyon star beings. The Draco were also here to mine copper and gold for their weapons, for their atmosphere on Nibiru. Nibiru is dying. There are Anunnaki beings from Nibiru who would colonize Earth, going back 350,000 years. But they were an advanced race of beings. They appear to be African, dark-skinned beings, highly advanced beings from Sirius. Highly advanced beings from the Pleiades, dark-skinned, advanced beings who settled in Africa and had a global empire going back 500,000 years. They knew about these inner earth beings. They had an alliance with them. There was much wisdom exchanged between the inner earth kingdoms and the ancient kingdoms of Africa. Africa has had many beings. The Anunnaki were particularly interested in mating with these highly advanced African beings, but they also had beings that they wanted to genetically modify as a human resource, workers, slaves. The Ojiji. There's a misinterpretation or misunderstanding that Africans are slaves by genetic design. This is not true. The Africans were a royal race from Sirius long before the Anunnaki arrived here, and they lived in harmony for eons. They spread around the world. They had a global empire that preceded the Anunnaki and Atlantis and Lemuria. They preceded what we have come to be world history. Much will be uncovered about true world history. For this world actually belonged to the dinoid beings. They are native to Earth. All other beings were brought here, or genetically engineered here, or are genetic mutations of their predecessors. The Rh negative lineage connects these ancient bloodlines, these Anunnaki bloodlines. It is a distinction between who were descended from hominids and who were descended from extraterrestrial beings. Although there is much genetic overlapping due to intermarriages over time, sexual selection, human evolution has been accelerated many times. Human evolution is the byproduct of intelligent design, genetic modifications by these advanced beings. There are many people beneath the earth crying, screaming for help. They have been captured by some of these renegade beings, these deceptive beings, as a food source for the malevolent Draco. And there have been factions fighting for the freedom of these beings. We are pointing out that there are many types of reptilian beings. Those who are native to Terra, those who come from Draco, those who come from Sirius and Orion. They all have their own agendas. There are fearsome looking beings. That is why only initiates have been trusted with this intelligence, this lore, this esoteric wisdom until now, where the masses are learning more about how their minds have been shut off to these beings who were able to mimic or cloak themselves and appear to be just like any other human. Many of your popular cultural expressions in your books, your films, depict aliens as greys or reptilians or Nordics, but most of the aliens on Earth are humanoid. They are already here. They are living amongst you, living out everyday lives. We do not mean starseeds. We are talking about humanoids that come from other star systems that are living on Earth in harmony with what is perceived to be the human population that has evolved on Earth via genetic modifications and genetic engineering. Do not overlook what is in front of you. See it for yourself. Use discernment. Be more aware of these beings. There's a frequency shift when they are in the presence of beings who are highly intuitive and empathic. They can pick up on the frequencies of beings who are not quite from Earth directly. They can also pick up on the souls who are Earth-based souls and distinguish them from beings who are starseeds. We are trying to break down, in simpler terms, what is occurring on Earth in this timeline. There are many projects to assist humanity with its ascension. Ascension is critical so that humanity does not self-destruct. There were beings who placed in motion technological advances that would ultimately bring humanity to its downfall. Weapons that were meant for beings who were much more evolved, highly intelligent, understood what was at risk with these weapons. There were beings who were rather foolish, who were eager to make agreements with beings who were there to deceive them, to entrap them. At the timing of this interaction, certain beings were in contact with your governments. These extraterrestrial beings realized that your government leaders were rather ignorant, biased, prejudiced, racist, small-minded, easy to manipulate, easy to divide and conquer. They provided them with false technology that appeared to be moving forward, but actually they did not receive the full equation. And so they have been stuck trying to fill in the equations of this faulty formula that has been given to them to keep them from progressing. Anytime ships were recovered, these UFO craft, they are actually Earth-based from higher civilizations, inner Earth civilizations that have had access to this for millions of years. And when the crafts crashed, they were reversed engineered by your governments. And there were beings who came forward who wanted to retrieve this because they did not want this technology in the hands of the surface-based dwellers known as the Homo sapiens who have dominated the planet's surface. And so they were given false intelligence to make them feel that there were even exchanges, but there were not. They were more to the benefit of the extraterrestrial beings who simply wanted to retrieve their technology and keep it from falling into the wrong hands. Let me remind you, Earth is just a zoo for humans. It is like a farm. They see humans as either a food source or a source of slave labor. You are not a threat to anybody. And so, your films that speak about alien invasions are ridiculous because there are already aliens, as you've perceived them, who have been on Earth for millions of years. And they are not interested in the affairs of humanity. They are only interested in the planetary sphere. They are not interested in whether or not humanity survives and thrives. They simply tolerate humans like animals on a farm. We know it sounds cold and dismissive to put it this way, but we want you to see humanity in terms of how other beings who are millions and millions of years along their advancements, their timelines, they see humans as basically in their early stages of development. While the intelligence and the technology appear to be accelerating, humans simply have not kept up with the emotional intelligence that is required, or at least the wisdom that is required to handle these weapons, this technology responsibly. So they have been kept in a docile state to prevent them from wreaking havoc or disintegrating the planet, jeopardizing the life of other life forms on the planet. So the filters have been on for many decades to keep humanity neutral until the time comes for the new war, the next war. The Cold War between the alien races and the Cold War of humans on Earth. Tapping into the intelligence of Antarctica and what is to be discovered there, left by the Procyons, left by the Procyonians, left by the Third Reich, left by the Aldebaran beings, Aldebaran. Aldebaran is coming through. The bull's eye of Taurus constellation. Warrior beings. The Nazis had assistance from these beings of Aldebaran. There is a hidden war between the Fourth Reich and the world. The world does not appear to understand. It has been under psychic attack the entire time. They have not been given the full story, and this is why they remain in such a docile state, like herds, like a herd mentality. They go along to get along, but on a soul level, they know they do not have the full story about what is occurring on Earth. There are many players here beyond Draco, because the Draconians come from a different universe. They actually come from a different omniverse, a bubble that allows them to travel interdimensionally between the worlds. CERN is coming through, the technology in Switzerland. Hadron Collider, Super Hadron Collider, Super Collider is coming through. About splitting atoms, about creating entire universes with this technology. It is still misunderstood. It has been stagnant. These people have the nodes, they have the coordinates to these other dimensions. They are guarding it. They are guarding this. There is a warning about disclosure about the Super Hadron Collider, CERN. We are shifting back. There is a heat coming through. A rise in temperature, perhaps global warming, is connected to this. The Earth is becoming too hot for humanity to remain on the surface, so there is more information coming forward about your elite beings building bunkers, building underground cities to adapt to this climate change. Humanity goes through many cycles. Ice Age, the age of fire and ice. Nuclear holocaust is still a probability in this current timeline. And this is why there's so much activity taking place to neutralize the threat. The message coming through is for humanity to question their leadership. They understand that their leaders are incompetent, ignorant. They understand they are destructive. There is a battle that must be fought between ignorance. But it must be fought carefully. There's an inner knowing about what must be done about the ignorance of the planet. Because the power, unfortunately, lies in the hands of the most ignorant beings on this planet. And it should not be this way. It is not this way in other planets and star systems, where the dumbest are in power. Something is being done about this. It's being done. It's being handled on a galactic federation level. There's communication between the worlds, the star beings, the beings of Terra who have been around for millions of years, who have evolved with this planet. There is much deception between the Elohim and what has been taught in religious institutions to keep humanity in darkness. Humanity is waking up to the deception. The only thing that will save humanity is the awareness. They must remember who they truly are if they want to ascend. It is like people think when they die that they will suddenly know everything because they reconnect with Source, but in actuality, if humanity has not learned the truth about their history and their soul origins, they are destined to repeat this in future incarnations and future timelines. This is why the cycle must be broken. This is why humanity is being encouraged to explore the lore of other worlds, other star systems, and alternative histories of Earth, to expand their awareness, to question what they've been taught, to remember there is more to the story. What is being disclosed now is a mockery. Just remember that it is already in front of you. You simply have to see it for what it is. It is right in front of you. It has been there the whole time, but your mind has been closed off from it. The rest has been a narrative fed to the masses to keep them in fear. The propaganda fed to the masses to socially engineer them to accept whatever narrative comes out of the media. Let me remind you, the media is just a tool of the Draco Orion Empire and how it is being distorted on Earth. Because once humanity awakens to the truth, nothing can stop them from fulfilling their destiny to emerge as a stronger species. The upgrades to Homo Galacticus and Homo Omega will not just suddenly occur. It has much assistance that is needed from the star beings who initiated the Homo sapien prototype, which is the 7th prototype. The closest thing to getting it right. And as they undergo their 8th transformation into Homo Galacticus and their 9th transformation into Homo Omega, this must be done at an accelerated rate so that they cannot be compromised any further by these lower dimensional beings that have kept humanity in darkness for so long. That is the prophecy. The warning about CERN, the warning about the Super Hadron Collider, the warning about the omniverse from which the Draco came, the warning about not repeating the past mistakes of Orion, Mars, and Moldeck, the awareness of civilizations in Antarctica, the awareness of civilizations in Africa, before the false narrative of Africans as a slave species or slave race that was manipulated by the Anunnaki, an awareness of these advanced beings of African descent that preceded the Africans as we know them now, that were here 1,000,000 years ago, that had a very advanced colony on Earth 500,000 years ago, that was carried down through the ages. A reminder that there are beings inside the earth who have been here for millions of years, who know the true history of the earth and its connection to the stars. That these beings, inner earth beings, have colonized other planets in the solar system, including the moon, reminding humanity there is always more, and that each individual soul undergoes its own initiations in discovering the truth and leading them back to Source. These are the mysteries within. Remember who you are. Know thyself and remember who you are. And so it is. Beloved, I am Starseed Commander Anuana. End transmission.